friends, if this is your first time here, then welcome. This spread for this particular reading has been developed over years to really find a combination that really works. And also, just to let you know, this is not that your ex is coming back and just like I'm throwing this on you. No, this is for the people who actually are still having a connection, or maybe they're anticipating kind of like that something still is ongoing. They still want something to happen with their ex, such as like maybe hoping for a reunion. If you're not wanting your ex, then please, this is not a reading for you. Check my monthlies instead. So in a moment, I'm going to explain the cards, but at the same time, I'm going to provide a timestamp for those people who already know it. If you're the first time here, please go to the explanation. But before I start this, yay, there's like something that you waited for entire year, my 2019 annual Taroscopes. It's time to pre-order. So you can go www.catchtarot.ca/annual, and that's going to get you to the form. The moment when I make the first one, this price of $19.99 for individual sign or $39.99 for all signs is going to move to $29.99 for one and $59.99 for all. So this is like your opportunity to really grab a good deal. If you remember the last year, then they were like about hour and a half to 2 hours long. It was covering all kind of like segments and career and love and family and so on and so forth. In the description of this video, you are going to be able to see the 2018. So just like scroll down below and check it. Okay, so the next is to kind of like jump into this explanation, and for my regulars, here is a timestamp, and just jump right straight to the reading. Okay guys, as you're going to see, I don't know if you can see the difference in colors. Look at how old is this deck, about 25 years old. And the same cards exist in this deck as well. So I am choosing these 7 cards because they're going to be able to give me that combination, that magic key, and the answer that you really want. So let's start. Like, first card that I have taken over here is the Magician. And the Magician is really going to tell me about what is going on for your relationship. If this is really a go, if your relationship can actually fly. It's also going to tell me if your relationship was ever a starter. So both positive and negative is going to give us some answers. The next one is going to be the Temperance reversed. And usually the Temperance upright talks about stars are aligning and everything is like kind of like working together. When it is reversed, it tells me what is really not gluing and what kind of like things you still really need to pay attention and even work on in a relationship. So it's kind of like a really important combination of the two. Then we are going to have the Queen of Wands and also Knight of Wands. With these two cards, they are going to be significators for you and your mate, right? So they are interchangeable. You have to kind of like decide which one are you, and you're going to know it as when I start reading which one applies. This is the energy in between the two of you, and it's going to tell me if there is any communication and what's going on. Is there any manipulation? Is there any approach? And so on and so forth. Kind of like really important as well. Then we have Karma card. Many people disregard, karma, who cares? Well, let me ask you this. If you're now looking back in the past and you think about your relationships, isn't this like, a point that you think, I should have skipped this one? You see, this is really what is telling you about it. Maybe you really go, I want it. But karma is telling you, maybe, sweetie, you shouldn't be going in that direction. So that category is very important, because if you're not in sync with karma, everything will be breaking and things will not be coming your way, right? And then lastly, we have Four of Wands, and Four of Wands is kind of like going to tell me where is like this whole relationship going on and what can you do. So let's start with the reading itself. Sagittarians, and welcome to your October-November Is Your Ex Coming Back reading. So it's a general reading. Please check your ascendant and check your moon sign. If you're really ambitious, check your Venus sign. And also for a partner that you might be spying on, cross-watching, check their Mars sign. And of course, the date with me private reading is usually the best. This is on special for $50. So cattarot.ca, you can order yours. And don't forget your annual Taroscope. That's really awesome. So let's start, guys. Let's see where this is going. Wow, the opening is with High Priestess. Somebody, and it's just like kind of in observant mode. Maybe you're spending some kind of time accumulating or developing your psychic abilities. This is not actively learning tarot. By the way, my school will be starting in November. This is more or less like just trying to set things right, having kind of like almost like principles lined up so easily that you will just instinctively do them, right? It's kind of like what I call it, observe things, you know, let them have a rope and hang them kind of a thing, right? She has the moon under her feet, so she's definitely kind of like very sensitive and very knowledgeable, but still very open to kind of like what else can I find out. And she has this like two basically pillars. One is evil, one is good, but as you can see, she's positioned right in the middle, because understanding is like that we actually do live in that kind of like gray area. So there is like a Five of Cups. I don't know, like they were possibly two loves. I generally see as spilled milk card, but like the first thing and first thought I had here, it was like kind of like two different possibilities, right? One was something you didn't want. One is something you wanted really badly, but it couldn't happen. It couldn't be realized. You are kind of like really crying over that. There is like a remorse. There is a little pain. There is like a really kind of like introverted feeling over here that I'm picking up on. It is kind of like a newfound connection with yourself as well. It's almost like kind of spirituality through pain, if that makes sense. You know, like when you almost like are born again and you're kind of like really feeling loss. That's something that has happened in the past, could not actually work out. Two of Pentacles, somebody was juggling, oh boy, the Devil and another 7 here. So this is really telling me that you cannot heal. There is like something that is creating a barrier. Whenever I see the Devil, I'm thinking about exes. I'm thinking about ex-wife, ex-husband, right? There's like something going on. Somebody's pulling the strings over here. But it also can mean literally being horny and kind of like jumping in a situation. You see, that kind of like would be kind of like two balancing powers. She's like pure kind of like innocence, right? And the Devil is just like something that is always going to try to get you in trouble. And there was like this juggling. Maybe maybe you are being seen as juggling. Maybe you're being seen as maybe something was happening with your ex where somebody kind of like experienced loss as a result, and maybe there's like no communication as a result of this. It's just kind of like quietness, but it's kind of like that pregnant pause. Quietness, but it's not like there is like without thinking. There's lots of thinking. However, I do have to say that kind of like that partner is trying to kind of like free themselves and going in your direction, but they still don't have a full concept about how to do it. They still don't really have definition of this is the direction I really want to go. They're like still kind of like juggling in a different way. See, this is kind of juggling. There is like that infinity sign. And here, it's kind of like, what do I want? Do I want another person? Do I want wisdom? Do I want material possession, gifts, power, right? Do I really want to be strong? And do I want something that is not even on the menu? Kind of like, to me, this is a card of illusion. It's card of like those kind of like soap bubbles. They kind of look like a bubble. They look like a structure, especially when the kitty cats kind of like play with this, but they actually burst. So it's not something solid, and I really feel altogether that they're like, it's really talking about you and partner both not being really able to move on, even though the approach to that is completely different. So what is karma saying? Similar. Look, you have 2, 2, 2. There is like some huge level of indecision. We have this like blind woman on the basically shore sitting, and the dark is coming, as you can see, and it's cold and it's windy, and she's holding this like really, really heavy swords, guys, and she is really trying to balance these kind of like 2 directions, and none of them sounds right. That's why she's blindfolded, you know, kind of like when you kind of like pick something or whatever it is. When this kind of like reverses, is talking about inability to make decision. You know you have to do it. Something has happened that demanded somebody to make a decision. And looks like because you didn't, or somebody didn't, the other person did. Or the other person kind of like start moving forward. I do see lots of kind of like nastiness. I see the devil is kind of like really appealing to our lower kind of like instincts, calling people names, having, you know, kind of like going down there and kind of like nobody really feeling proud about that. And maybe it's not that situation per se could not be repaired, but the aftermath and everything that was going on through is now becoming a bigger problem. And look, you have another 2. And this one is contract is over. This is like talking about the ending. This is talking about, you know, somebody definitely does not want to be anymore. Look at this 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. So maybe it was a situation that required lots of elements that have to be balanced. Maybe there was an ex-wife, there were maybe children involved, and you know, somebody was sitting on the side observing the situation and saying, well, this is not for me. It's not for me. It was like extremely excruciatingly hard decision to walk away. I do see this walking away with somebody who was still in love. I see that because the person couldn't stand the pain that has been going on, this kind of like cutting this chain. Something was really unhealthy, and because it was unhealthy, it was not sustainable, and that was the decision based on that, not based on I don't love you, because look at this, love is here. Like there are regrets galore over here. Look, it's another 7, and this 7 is clearly betrayal. Somebody really feels betrayed over here, and while one person was like really trusting, the other person was maybe sneaking something behind your back, maybe even in front, maybe even gaslighting. This card is like, obviously, just as it shows, somebody just taking what they can take, and this kind of like becomes very difficult in a relationship when we are dealing with someone whom we are giving everything, and then we just like feel used in the end. And in this category, we are getting the world, right? And now this is kind of like really interesting because we also have infinity sign over here, just like over here. And we have like these 4 fixed signs: Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Scorpio presented as an eagle over here. And the naked woman, she is going in a new cycle of destiny. But it is falling in a category of what needs to be glued. Something, and this is kind of like probably already going in a category of twin flames that, you know, maybe you met in this life and it was not meant to be. And it felt really like a burn, like the devil, you know, this hell kind of like burn. Because this is saying the cycle was supposed to finish. Remember how I said contract is over? But even though I don't think you are together, I don't really feel that. I feel that you guys are still very connected. I don't even think that there is like communication over here, but the connection is clear. Yeah, there you go, Six of Cups. It's kind of like really thinking about it, feeling. You might, this could be somebody that you know for quite a while. It could be somebody that you maybe in the past didn't consider as a partner, and all of a sudden they kind of like jumped as a really viable kind of like partner or alternative. And then again, it's kind of like hard to forget that past. And it's kind of like both ways. It's kind of like both. It's kind of like that, what they call it, and sorry for use of kinda, I just kinda use this all the time. I'll try to clean it. It is the bittersweet feeling when you want something but also you don't want something, right? It's being torn in between those two edges. The Magician is saying, see, we should kind of like move forward. Another infinity sign. It's clearly showing the destiny is knocking. There is something that needs to be addressed and needs to kind of like start moving forward. That's it. These two cards would actually come after the World. It's kind of like spinning, but somebody has been very foolish about that. And that's kind of like the sense I get over here, that something is irreparable. And that's why this came here as kind of like finished. It could have been the third party, guys. It could have been that it was not the right situation. This is clearly saying this was so kind of like projected for this to happen. It can be created. It looks like that one of you just has to pick up the phone and be with another. But both of you are feeling that would be something really wrong about that, foolish, and that maybe that base issue that you had would not be repaired, and without that the situation would not be able to move forward. Yeah, I really think there was like somebody else involved. You have the Queen of Pentacles reversed that generally talks about marriage, or there were like some kind of like really huge obligation, and so somebody didn't resolve their karma with that person, and hence the decision was hard because it looks like it was a case between obligation and love. Obligation, love. I want love, but I have to do this. And it was not possible to have your cake and eat it too. Look at that, the Lovers, and it's like kind of coming upright. You are, oh my gosh, Sagis, you're out of yourself. You're trying to do the right thing, I feel here, but what you consider right thing is like not what the other people consider right thing. And this is creating a big tangle everywhere over here. The Fool, when it comes reversed, is saying that, you know, maybe you trusted situation, maybe you trusted someone who maybe let you down. Maybe your trusted situation will move forward and somebody just played you for a fool. Somebody who is possibly more intelligent, and I know that nobody wants to hear it, right? And we don't really realize until we realize we got the short end of the stick. This is kind of like clearly showing over here. But this card is really encouraging. This card is called the Lovers, but the card is really talking about choices. And I don't know if you guys are dealing with Gemini. I see Gemini, I see air signs, I see Capricorn, and these 4 fixed signs, as I told you, kind of like really prominent in this reading. But when you kind of like get this much air, it's really talking about that you need to kind of like raise above whatever the problems are pressing you right now. You're able, as above, so below, to create it. You have all the tools. The communication can happen. But you really, really have to do something you didn't do previously. Think through. Think before you act. And that's why the High Priestess came through right here. Because like there were so many things that were said. And yet, those words were those swords that were hurting. So now, it's not about losing the battle or winning the battle. It's about all these swords and all these wounds that basically wounded that are all over the place. So yeah, it does make sense. The healing has to take place. Or you might be dealing with an Aquarius. This is kind of like the guiding star. And also you might feel that somebody is unachievable. You might feel that somebody's out of your league. And you might actually feel that the person was toying with you all along. There is no point of obsessing. This is definitely kind of like going in circles and saying, just if I just did that, and if I did that, or if I seen that, or is he going to call me? Is she going to do this? You know, when you're not able to reach the conclusion, just like what we see here, and you keep on spinning in circles, and each time you think you're getting somewhere, you're like just in the beginning, in the square one. This is falling in these categories, telling you, you know, it's kind of like hard to stop, but the whole idea here of this darkness is you need to really force yourself, because look at how many yellow cards here, and this kind of like, to me, always links to you, like that happiness. This is your card, your color, that yellow, that even here I can see that it's sort of like you need to find where you are going. You need to find, you need to start feeling invincible all over again, and I really think that's the remedy over here. The Chariot, yes, it's another 7 that I see over here. This is the period of spiritual healing and spiritual learning, and kind of like revamping the hope. I think mid-November is going to be kind of like shift in planets, and you're going to feel actually very differently. I think on the 18th, without looking up, it's happening. I think it's the Venus that is shifting. So the Chariot is like, yay, moving forward, right? It's kind of like reconciling the good and bad in you, and understanding like this kind of like, definitely the star that he has here is a spiritual star, and it's maybe moving solo. It's moving solo, understanding what happened and knowing that certain things have happened and cannot be repaired. I really feel you're missing somebody's friendship. I really feel that it was your source of support that you had, and it's no longer there, and now you have to understand something that you understand very well, one of those signs that, you know, there is like no time for hesitation. You need to go and you need to move forward. The partner here looks like want maybe give you a chance. The 3 of Cups reversed, I think, and that's what it was lost over here. They feel they offered you friendship, they feel they offered a lot, and they feel that has been manipulated. And again, karma is saying that there is like this striving toward that ultimate family happiness, and yet Queen of Pentacles here is reversed. So what is this all about? There is like a huge emotional indecision. So we have 2 of Cups, we have 3 of Cups, we have 4 of Cups, we have 6 of Cups, we have 7 of Cups, right? So we have lots of water element, and I really think the partner that you are like really asking about, or this could be you as well because they're interchangeable, is really feeling still connected and still very strongly about you. It was like something that almost like feels that even if it didn't happen, that it was meant to be. I really feel, guys, that this is very, very this is a karmic partner, so you might want to check my karma readings as well, because this is kind of like coming through strongly with something that came in this life. And I really wouldn't say this was even kind of like very long involvement with this person, but it was something that was like extremely memorable and left a huge impact. And it was something that couldn't happen because of the circumstances, and continuing would be foolish, and they have realized, and I think they set you free. I really do think they set you free. They set you free to go. You know how I said it was a choice between responsibility and love, and they told you responsibility should come first. Do not lose hope, because you can find your happiness in this, and maybe this is the path you took. But nonetheless, you are really suffering. Your heart is closed, and you're really unable to see really far in the distance. There's like still those ghosts of the past that I'm really seeing here. So my dear Saggies, I really hope, you know, that when you check your ascendant and you check your moon sign, there's going to be kind of like more messages that you can use. But please book me for your private date at cattarot.ca and we can see that. And do not forget that every Saturday at 11 a.m. I have live, and on each live, and you will be invited to the live if you press this button subscribe. And you know, and if you ring the bell, so that way you already know the time, it kind of like it reminds you of the time. I'm giving 15-minute free reading each Saturday, and it's kind of like ability for you to kind of like taste this and see kind of like what private reading is all about. So my dear Sagittarians, I would love to hear your comments, and please subscribe, like, and share. And until the next time, you know that I love you. All the best.